He came home to find she had married his brother. The dry wind blew dust in every direction as Elijah Kane reined in his horse at the crest of the ridge, the sun falling low behind him. Below, nestled in the hollow like a secret someone had tried to hide, sat the ranch he'd built with his own bare hands. Though it looked older now, weathered, the corral fences were mended differently. A new smokehouse stood behind the barn. But that wasn't what stopped his breath. A woman walked out front door. Her silhouette was unmistakable. Even after 7 years. Long auburn hair, grace in every movement, a stillness in her shoulders that used to unravel when she saw him. Only now she didn't stop. She didn't look up. She just reached back, gently, and a man's arm slid around her waist. Elijah's jaw tightened. His brother, Matthew, married to her. Elijah had gone off to war, promising to return, promising to build her a life better than anyone in West Clay Creek could offer. He'd left her a ring in his heart, but war had a way of dragging out longer than letters could survive. The final one he wrote, telling her he was still alive, had never reached her, or maybe it had, and maybe she'd chosen silence over waiting. He'd imagined a dozen ways he might return. None of them included this. Elijah kicked his horse forward, down the slope, not sure if he was ready, not sure if he cared. His boots hit the dry earth moments later, and the sound of the saddle creaking drew attention from the porch. She turned. Her face paled. Her eyes locked onto him like he was a ghost, risen from the red dust. "Elijah," she whispered. Matthew stood up behind her, already frowning. "What the hell?" "Good evening," Elijah said, his voice rough from days on the trail. Didn't mean to interrupt dinner. "You're alive," she said. Her voice trembled. Matthew stepped down from the porch, eyes narrowing. "We thought you were dead. The army sent a letter." "No doubt," Elijah said, "but I guess dead men ride better horses than you think." Matthew didn't smile. Neither did Elijah. "Come inside," she said suddenly. "You need water, food." "Do I?" he asked, without looking at her. Matthew's hand moved protectively to her lower back. "You've had a long ride. Stay the night. We'll talk." "I didn't ride 3 weeks to play family reunion," Elijah said. "I came to see who stole my life while I was bleeding in the dirt for it." She flinched. "You didn't write." "I thought." "I did write," he said. "Twice a month." Every letter came back unopened after year 2. Silence fell heavy. The sun dipped further behind the hills, casting the house in shadow. "You should come in," Matthew said again. "I'll sleep in the barn," Elijah replied. And he did, that night. He sat with the horses, tossing straw aside until he found the softest corner, laying down with only his saddle for a pillow. The scent of cedar and sweat mingled in his mind with the sound of her voice. Her name still echoed in him like a prayer. "Catherine," he whispered it once before the weight of the trail dragged him into sleep. Morning came harsh and fast. Roosters crowed. Metal clanged. And Elijah was already sitting upright, hand near the revolver by his bedroll. "Still sleeping light?" A voice said. It was the ranch hand, a boy maybe 20, freckled and missing a tooth. "Mr. Kane, the other Mr. Kane, says you can eat something if you want." Elijah stood, wiped the dust from his shirt, and stepped out into the blinding daylight. Every part of him felt out of place, as if the land itself had moved on. He went in the house anyway. Inside, it looked the same, but colder. The table was set. Catherine was placing a coffee pot down when he entered. She looked up. Their eyes met. "Morning," she said softly. Elijah nodded. Matthew entered moments later, wearing his town clothes, dark vest, clean boots, that same quiet pride in every movement. He looked more like a banker than a rancher. Maybe he was both now. "We can talk after breakfast," Matthew said. "There's things we should clear." "Yeah," Elijah said. "There are." They ate in silence, forks clinking, coffee steaming. Elijah watched her hands, how they trembled slightly. She still wore the necklace he'd given her, But her ring was different. Afterward, they sat on the porch. Matthew leaned back, thumbs in his belt. "You want to say something, say it now." "You married her," Elijah said. "I waited 3 years. No letters, no word. Then came the telegram saying you were gone, dead near the border. I buried your hat in the canyon myself." Catherine was silent. "You never thought to find out for sure?" Elijah asked her. "I tried," she said, "but after a year of nothing." "She was alone," Matthew interrupted. "No family, no money. I did what you would have done." Elijah's jaw clenched. "What I would have done was come back for her." "You didn't." They stared at each other, years of pain cracking beneath their silence. "I'm not here to take her," Elijah said finally. "I just want to know the truth." "You know it now." "No," Elijah said. "I know what happened." "That's not the same." He stood. Matthew's voice followed him. "You can stay if you like. Ranch is half yours. Still in your name." "I'm not interested in what's in my name," Elijah said. "I'm interested in what was in my heart." He stayed on the land. Not in the house, never again. But he helped mend fences, calmed horses, and said little. Catherine came to the barn 2 nights later. He was repairing a bridle. When she entered, "I didn't want it to happen like this," she said. "No one ever does." "I mourned you," she said. "I screamed when I got the letter. I thought my soul had died." He stopped working, looked at her, and then, he asked. "Then I survived," she whispered. Matthew helped. He was kind. "I didn't love him like I loved you, but he kept me alive." That hurt more than betrayal. He turned away. "There's something you don't know," she said. He faced her again, waiting. "I'm not proud of it, but it's yours. He's yours." Elijah blinked. "What?" "Our son," she said. "I was 2 months pregnant when the letter came." His heart stopped, then thundered. "I named him Jacob," she whispered. "He thinks Matthew is his father. He doesn't know." Elijah stepped back. His knees almost gave. "He's mine?" She nodded, tears rising. And just like that, the world spun again. The world had shifted beneath Elijah Kane's boots, but he didn't show it. He stood there frozen as Catherine's words echoed in the silence of the barn. "He's yours. Our son." It was like hearing the thunder of hooves in the distance. Too late to run. Too loud to ignore. She was crying now, quietly, not for drama, for the truth that had stayed buried too long. "He's 8 now," she whispered. "Smart, kind, just like you. He loves horses, talks to the wind like it'll answer him." Elijah turned away and gripped the stall door until his knuckles whitened. "Why didn't you tell me when I came back?" "Because I thought you'd ride off," she said. "Like I didn't matter anymore. Like he didn't." "I stayed," Elijah said. "Even after I saw you in my brother's arms, I stayed." Catherine walked forward, her hand shaking. "He doesn't know the truth. Please, let it stay that way for now. I'm not going to lie to my son." She looked up sharply. "He's not ready. Matthew's the only father he's ever known." "Matthew stole that role," Elijah said coldly, "the same way he took you." "No," she said, stepping back. "I let him. I was broken. Elijah, you didn't come back." Elijah didn't answer. He couldn't, not with fire and ice fighting in his chest. He walked out of the barn into the night, and above him, the stars stretched wide over West Clay Creek, silent witnesses to every secret buried in the dust. The next day, Elijah saw the boy. He was helping a ranch hand mend fence posts, swinging a hammer almost too big for his arms. His hair was wild and dark, his smile wide, his voice familiar. Elijah froze in place, hands gripped around a coil of rope. "Jacob!" Catherine called from the porch. "Time to wash up." The boy tossed the hammer aside and ran, boots thudding. He passed Elijah and gave a quick glance, polite but unaware. Elijah swallowed the urge to speak. Not yet, but soon. That evening, Matthew approached. The two brothers stood side by side at the edge of the corral. Horses grazed. Crickets sang. The air buzzed with tension. "You found out," Matthew said simply. Elijah didn't turn. "You knew he was mine." "I suspected." She never said. Not even once. Not until yesterday. "You married her anyway." "I loved her," Matthew said. "Still do. Always did, even before you left." The words hit like a slow punch. Elijah turned now. Slowly, "You waited for me to die." Matthew didn't deny it. "I waited for you to disappear," he said. "Because you always disappeared, Elijah. Into war, into work, into your own damn pride. She needed someone who stayed." "I never left her willingly," Elijah growled. "I did what I thought was right," Matthew said. "You were gone. She was grieving. I was here. She was mine." Elijah snapped. "She stopped being yours the day she put on that dress and walked down the aisle with me." Elijah stepped forward. Matthew didn't flinch. "If you tell Jacob the truth, you'll rip him apart," Matthew said. "He'll hate us both. You'll break her. You'll destroy everything that's still holding together." Elijah's voice dropped to a whisper. "He deserves to know who he is." Matthew shook his head. "Then be ready to lose him." That night, Elijah sat alone under the stars, sipping from an old tin cup, thinking about the boy. He didn't sleep, and in the quiet hours before dawn, he made a decision. The next morning, he packed his saddle. No goodbyes, no letters, no explanations. He just saddled his horse, tied down his gear, and mounted. Catherine saw him from the porch. Her heart raced. "Elijah," she called, rushing toward him. "Where are you going?" "I can't stay," he said without looking at her. "If I do, I'll ruin what's left of your life." She reached for the reins. "Please don't go. He deserves a father." "I won't be his father," Elijah said. "Not unless he calls me one." She cried. Real guttural sobs. "You think running makes this easier?" "No," he said, "but it keeps you from having to choose." He clicked his tongue and the horse turned. "Elijah," she said, barely a whisper now, "do you still love me?" He paused. "I never stopped." Then he rode. He left West Clay Creek and wandered south, taking odd jobs, sleeping under stars, drifting between ranches and rail towns like a ghost with no grave. But Jacob stayed in his heart. A voice, a laugh, a face he couldn't forget. Months passed. Then, in the winter, the letter came. It was sealed in a plain envelope, the handwriting shaky. "Elijah, come home. Jacob knows." Matthew told him. "And now he's gone. We don't know where. Please, help me find our son. Catherine." Elijah rode faster than he ever had in his life. He returned to a ranch on fire, not from flames, but from panic. Matthew looked worn, 10 years older. Catherine had circles under her eyes, her dress torn from searching in the brush. "I told him in a fit of anger," Matthew admitted. "He said I wasn't his real father and ran off." "Where would he go?" Elijah asked Catherine. She was sobbing again. "He always talked about the old canyon, the one you showed me, where the creek splits near Eagle's Rock." Elijah didn't wait. He rode straight for it. He found the boy at dusk, huddled in the rocks, shivering, crying, dirt smudged on his face. He looked up when Elijah dismounted, and his face twisted with confusion. "You're him," Jacob said. "You're my real pa?" Elijah knelt slowly. "Yeah, I am." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't want to break your heart." The boy was quiet. "Do you hate me?" Elijah asked. Jacob shook his head slowly. "No, but I don't understand." "You will one day," Elijah said. "I promise." He opened his arms. The boy hesitated, then ran into them, burying his face in Elijah's chest. They stayed there for a long while. Back at the ranch, things changed. Jacob knew now, and he looked at Elijah with new eyes. Catherine was different, too. Stronger, clearer. But Matthew grew distant. He worked harder, drank more. One night, he left a note on the kitchen table and rode out. He never came back. Years later, Elijah took over the ranch. Catherine lived in the old house. Jacob called him Pa without hesitation, but the scar remained. Not the kind that bled, but the kind that stayed deep under the ribs, where memory lived. And sometimes, when the wind howled across the canyon, Elijah would hear it whisper back, "Some stories don't end. They just change writers."